Well, Leanne, thanks for being in the studio today. Today we're going to be talking about when to call the painter. So you do a lot of work for renovation contractors in the city of Edmonton. Right now you're doing some jobs out in St. Albert.
Right.
So let's dive into that because people often have questions. When do I call the painter?
Yeah.
Get us started.
Yeah, for sure. So I get that a lot. Like, okay, do I do the carpets first or do you come in first? Or like, when do I schedule you? How far are you booking out? All that kind of stuff. So don't wait to hire your painter because the good ones book up, fairly quick. But in general, I always say the painter should be the last trade in the house and on your project. But some people are like, but I just had new floors installed. Aren't you going to get paint all over it? And some painters will, but the good ones won't, right? Like that's what tarps are for. Although there are exceptions, of course, to everything. So if you're getting your ceilings done, like painted, ideally the floors won't be installed yet, especially for spraying because, spray particles can get places, right? So, but in general, painter should be the last trade in, mostly just because trades damage. I mean, unfortunately it happens, guys with their tool belts turning around and, swiping walls or whatever. Electricians, like it's not their fault, but sometimes they have to cut holes into the walls and, so painters need to fix all that up and whatnot. And touch-ups don't really work nowadays. And we can roll into that topic next.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's a good segue. So let's say you paint the reno and then damage happens.
Yes. Yeah.
How do you approach it as a professional painter?
Well, so that's why I try to insist that I'm the last trade in so I can take care of the trade's damage. Traditionally, like the painter will finish and then the trades will do their thing and we'll get called back for touch-ups. But this day and age with like paint products, they don't touch up very well. Some do, some don't, especially the dark colors. You almost have to repaint the whole wall. So you can get away with it sometimes, but no one likes to do their job, more than once.
Right. Yeah, that's true. That's called rework, and rework
exactly,
is expensive.
Right? Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, if your schedule allows, the painter should be the last trade in so that we can take care of everything and just, like that is what the client sees is, like, yeah, sure. They see all the fancy countertops and stuff like that. But in general, the wall space takes up the majority of the house. And that's where, a good finish on the walls really helps. And being the last trade, we can get that pristine, near perfect finish.
Tell me some stories that happened when you weren't the last trade in and how often you had to go back and what the fallout was from that.
Unfortunately, it happens a lot, actually. And it's mostly to do with scheduling because if something happens along the way in a renovation, there's usually delays. You always have to account for that. But usually there's deadlines too. And being the painter as one of the last trades, it's like you need to get it done quick. So sometimes we're always working over each other. And oftentimes they're just like, oh, well, we have a space for you. Just come in and do it now. And I'm like, yeah, but we still have the plumbers and electricians and stuff coming in after me. And more often than not, there are scuffs, and you try and wipe it off as best you can. But you usually do have to, it is what it is. You just have to touch up after, some trades. And more often than not, I just end up repainting the whole wall because I have this, level of quality that I expect and my clients expect. So we just make it happen.
Are you able to build that into your fee that you charge?
Depends on if I'm doing this for like a certain company or like a project manager that we have a rapport with. You kind of find out how they work and how the system goes. And you might do some allowances. Like we should all have that, what do you want to call it? A cushion. So it usually comes out of that. Others, they understand. There might be some extra fees, whether or not they back charge the other trades. That's a term, they did the damage, so they should get charged for my work. That's up to the GC. But otherwise, like if I'm bidding on a job that's just for, like a one-off client, they are looking at price. So, you got to come in at a reasonable price, whether or not you give them details on it and just be like, hey, look, I know this is a renovation. I might have to be called back. So I'm not doing this for free. So you just explain a little bit more in detail what your quote entails. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's important for people to realize that you've done the job once. It's not on you if somebody else damages it to come paint it for free.
Yeah.
And not only with that, a lot of times you have to do some patching and sanding.
100%.
And then repainting.
That's right.
It's a lot of work.
Yes. I know there's some companies out there that they expect you to come back and do touch-ups, for free or it's included in your price, but you don't know like the severity of the damage that's going to happen. So that's like a touchy little, topic, right? That you just work through.
Yeah. A lot of people would take advantage of that for sure because it's in the eye of the beholder, right? Whoever's paying the bill will be like, oh, it's not that bad. And you're like, oh my gosh, like I'm going to have to be here for hours fixing this, right?
Yeah, exactly. And like for me, I don't have time for callbacks. So I try and get everything done near perfect. Like when I leave a job, everything is the best it's ever going to look. Right. And then for them to say like, oh, so-and-so put up a ladder and they like gouged your wall. And I'm like, oh my God, okay, fine. Right. Like, of course I'm going to come back and fix it, but who's going to pay me to do that? Right.
That's
so,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the question, right?
That's right. Yeah.
So when damages happen, ideally what should take place at that time?
Well, ideally the one who did the damage should be held accountable. And they should have to pay for the repairs, right? Like, there should be some accountability with trades and, like, guys, just please be careful. The walls are clearly finished, like don't lean your stuff up against them and, just own it. If you dent a wall or whatever, like, and we're clearly done the project, like, just, like accidents happen, but my time is valuable. Everyone's time is valuable. Like someone's got to pay.
Yeah. And the other side of that, like talking about damages, like paint it takes a while to be fully hardened.
Oh yeah.
Right. And set.
Yeah.
So it's kind of extra sensitive.
Exactly. It is. Done, yes. Right? Yeah. It does take 30 days to fully cure and harden. So, you gotta watch out. And treat it like with respect, as much as you can. But yeah, there's,
I guess, especially if they have a certain finish as well. So
exactly,
not just your builder's grade eggshell paint. If they have, let's say, a satin or a matte finish, that would be exceptionally sensitive to damages. Right.
I know. Yeah. A lot of times, especially when I'm doing like a dark matte kind of color and I'm finished, I'm like, all right, this is the best it's ever going to look. Everyone just, cautious. Right. And I do go over with my clients. I'm just like, just so you know, like, don't just put your hand on this wall. You're going to have to touch it up. Or it's like, and I do go through that process before I start painting. And I'm like, just to be aware, this particular finish is going to like, it's not necessarily user friendly, but they're like, no, I love this. I want a certain look. And I'm like, all right, but disclaimer, you're going to have to like be cautious. Don't touch your walls or, call me back in a year and I'll redo everything for you and it'll look fresh again.
Okay. Is there anything else we've missed about, when people should call the painter to come in and do their work?
No, I think we got it covered, but in general, don't wait to call the painter. Like I recently had someone say like, oh, I'm building a new house, are you interested? And I was like, well, usually the conversation is yes, but what's your timeline? Like, so I'm like, okay, when is it ready for priming? And she's like, oh, like we're ready now. And I'm like, sorry, I'm booked up. Like you can always, you can inquire with the painter because they might have a delay in a project that happens. Right. So sometimes they can, squeeze you in. But as much lead time as possible is always best for painters in any trade, but especially for us.
Yeah. Giving lead time, especially because if you're in that case, you're doing a whole house. So you have to make sure that all the walls are ready to go. So the drywaller has done a good job of sanding.
Yeah.
And then it's cleaning the walls, and then you've got to prime them, and then it's paint. And then do you also do texture? Or is that somebody else entirely?
You mean like ceiling texture?
Ceiling texture, yeah.
I know how, but I don't do it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I refer it out.
That's perfect. It's not easy.
No.
And we've had the experience in our place where someone said they could do it and they clearly could not. And we had to pay to get it all sanded and scraped off, all the repairs done, and then retextured.
Yes.
That was a very expensive touch.
For sure it would be. Yep.
Oh boy. Okay. Well, thanks, Leanne, for sharing with us today. And guys, if you're looking for an expert painting company, look for Walls Revived. You can check out their website. Is yours a .ca or a .com?
It's .com.
wallsrevived.com. And Leanne can come out and give you an estimate. And of course, her company will do an amazing job with paint, design consultation, and making sure that you're happy with the finished product. Thanks so much, Leanne. We'll see you guys in the next video.
Bye.